Thank you. So today I'm going to talk about integrating technology into language classrooms. So I'll continue a little bit talking about technology, but in a different field. So the 21st century has been marked by the emergence of a net generation, or digital natives, a generation of people who have grown up with internet technologies and digital gadgets. They actively use these technologies in many aspects of their everyday life, including education. Many of today's university students indicate that computer and internet technologies are an essential part of their academic life and success. When modern students enroll in our classes, they expect their educational experience to include some digital components too. This claim was supported This claim actually was supported by the results of a motivation survey which Professor Olena and myself conducted in 2013 and 2014 academic year. And these results I already presented here at this very conference 3 years ago. And the objective of the motivational study was to examine what motivates and demotivates students to select courses in Ukrainian studies. We were able to reach various groups of students, including those who were taking or who previously had taken the Ukrainian language courses, as well as those students who were active in the Ukrainian community but actually had never taken any courses in Ukrainian studies. This group of participants indicated that they would like actually to take Ukrainian language courses, but they couldn't do it due to a big class time commitment. Specifically, beginner level classes at our institution meet 5 times per week. As participants indicated, very often Ukrainian classes were in time conflict with the students' mandatory courses. As for the students who were taking or previously had taken language courses, they expressed their desire for technologically enhanced learning environment and learning resources that prepare them for effective communication in the target language. Specifically, participants voiced their concerns about the relevance of existing learning and teaching resources for everyday communication. With respect to the language learning, some students noted that existing textbooks often do not contribute to the development of the skills necessary for effective communication in the language. In the participants' view, the integration of more technologically enhanced tools and activities into the learning process may contribute to additional language and communication practice, potentially securing an overall success of learning. As a response to the students' requests on the motivation survey, our research group, consisting of Professor Nedashkivska, research assistant Oksana Perez, and myself, began developing resources for a new, technologically enhanced Ukrainian language course with less class time commitment. Well, and this was achieved by incorporating the blended learning format. And in order to prepare students for the effective communication in the public language, we chose 2 teaching approaches: the Communicative Language Teaching Approach, or CTL, and task-based approach. And this is how our new course, titled Podorожі.ua, was incepted. Under the blended learning format, we understand the continued use of face-to-face teaching as a basic learning block of the learning experience, enriched and enhanced by the integration of internet and other teaching and learning technologies into studies undertaken both in and out of the classroom. More specifically, the blended learning format, or sometimes it's called model, so this is a combination of face-to-face instruction and online teaching and learning tools. So in literature, this model or this format is also known as hybrid learning model, or the so-called flipped classroom model. So The results of empirical studies show that a blended learning model, when properly designed and applied, offers affective and linguistic advantages over exceptionally e-learning or face-to-face modes. There have been noted the following advantages of the model. These are greater flexibility, reduced costs of textbooks because everything is accessible online, a positive effect of students' performance, reinforcement of student autonomy and control of learning, more individualized feedback, higher time on task, high ratings in enjoyment, support of different learning styles, and increase in motivation. The disadvantages include of this model: lesser amount of guidance and monitoring, decrease of control over learning, particularly for those students who lack self-discipline, because it requires lots of self-discipline that you have to make yourself sit and do the online assignments. No? And overwhelmingly fast pace of learning sometimes. Some researchers know that it happens. And intensification of workload, students' inadequate computer skills. So our major task while designing our new course was to control for these disadvantages and at the same time ensure that the listed advantages become our model's strengths. Okay. So the work on this project began in January 2014. Since its inception, the textbook has gone through several iterations. Currently, it is located online and functions as an open education resource, which can be accessed anytime and can be used free of charge. The resource is entitled podorozhik.ua. It consists of 26 units, 13 units to be taught during semester 1, and 13 units during semester 2. Each unit is covered over the period of 1 week. Okay? This is 1 week structure. The materials are designed to resemble a train travel common in Ukraine, where in-class activities are classified as zустрічі, meetings, and online assignments are labeled станції, stations, and пересадки, transfers. As it is shown on the screen, a 1-week unit, or podorож, consists of 3 50-minute in-class sessions, or zустрічі. In our case, the in-class sessions take place on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Here illustrated as зустріч 1.1, зустріч 1.3 і зустріч 1.5. The two online sessions, or станції, are illustrated as станція 1.2, станція 1.4. In our case, students are asked to complete these stations on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or just before, it's necessary that these should be completed before the next in-class session, or the next зустріч. During the in-class sessions, the focus is on speaking and interactional activities. In the online sessions, the emphasis is on grammar and vocabulary introduction, review, and practice. At the end of each unit, students are asked to complete an online station, пересадка, marked 1.6. This online пересадка is designed to summarize what students learned during the week, or in a particular unit, while also preparing students for the first class of the next unit. Students are asked to complete the пересадка over the weekend before the next in-class session. Overall, with the blended model, students complete approximately 3 hours of independent online study, in addition to 3 in-class contact hours per week. The amount of time the students spend on their online assignments varies from student to student. Well, please note that before introducing this model, beginners Ukrainian was taught 5 physical contact hours per week, and it was one of the reasons by many students, particularly from faculties like engineering or biomedical. They couldn't take those courses because there was a very big class time commitment for them, 5 times per week to meet. Instead, now we have 3 contact hours. So the rest of the assignments, the rest of the sessions, online sessions, they can do at their own convenience anytime they want. So which brings a lot of flexibility into this course for students first of all, and for the instructor. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. As previously mentioned, the resource is thematically organized into 26 units and focuses on a number of topics normally found in a beginner's language textbook. These include personal information, family relations, places of living, appearance, shopping, and some others. So these topics are usual for any beginner's language textbook. The topics are chosen in order to accommodate learners' functional and practical needs for everyday communication at a beginner's level. These topics are chosen to provide a natural context for introducing grammar, functional language, and vocabulary items, aiming to demonstrate language and linguistic elements in meaningful settings and contexts that could be encountered in a target-like environment. The pedagogical practices incorporated into the model are rooted in the framework of activities proposed by Nedashkivska, which were adapted from Lorillard. These include instructional tasks, interactive tasks, communicative tasks, productive tasks, and adaptive tasks. So the function of instructional tasks is the presentation of new grammar and vocabulary with students apprehending the information. In the online sessions, the presentation of new material could be done with the help of these videos. And could you please, well, turn on, tell us the
Кольори. Червоний. Білий. Червоний. Блакитний. Жовтий. Зелений. Білий. Червоний.
Дякую. And so this was the example of instructional tasks performed during the online session. Well, okay.
Кольори. Червоний.
Stop, the next slide, could you please give me? Oops. Okay, sorry. So in in-class sessions, the new material is introduced by the so-called 5-step technique, we call it. We adapted it from German last name, Schöner and others. Really. So according to this technique, the new material, and by this I mean vocabulary and grammar, is consistently presented in 5 steps. First, presentation of the new material in a context, when the instructor tells a kind of a story which includes the new material, new grammar material, and usually we use the pictures. And while telling the story, the instructor brings students' attention to some new vocabulary using these pictures, and emphasizing this in the story, this new word, for example. Then receptive recall or reception, when the instructor checks how well the students understood using the context, the new material. Choral and individual repetition, when students in chorus and individually repeat after the instructor. Productive recall or production, when the instructor encourages students using the old information that they knew before to use the new information that they received. anti-personalization. This technique allows for interaction initiated by the instructor, which gradually transfers to students, during which students individually or collaboratively personalize and thus practice the new introduced vocabulary of grammar elements. So the next one, interactive tasks. Interactive tasks are initiated by the instructor, physically or virtually present, and then gradually transferred towards students' individual or collaborative participation, during which they investigate and explore using the language. For example, in online sessions, interactive tasks may be like this. So, for example, what countries would you like to visit? Following Oksana's example, just create your own list and share it on forum. They have the forum and kind of discussion, online discussion of different things. So it's very primitive, it's just beginner level. I suppose this is week 2 or week 3 of their study. Okay, the next one, adaptive tasks. Okay, no, interactive tasks in class. This is the example of interactive tasks during in-class sessions. For example, like this. Look at the maps. What numbers do you see on them? They already know how to count in Ukrainian. What countries are numbered? They can say it in English right now. Then the task B asks the student to do the following. Work with your partner. What are the Ukrainian equivalents of those country names? Use the table below to match the numbers on the map and the names of the countries in Ukrainian. So most of the names of the countries here are the so-called cognates, which a little bit students can understand what countries are meant. So some of them, and there are 2 countries, and students just guess using their language intuition. Well, the next, adaptive tasks. In adaptive tasks, students follow a model, practice and experiment with their language skills. For example, in online sessions, they can do adaptive tasks like this. Could you please turn it on?
Hi. How good are you at geography? The capitals of which countries are the following cities? Listen and finish the sentences orally according to the pattern, and then check yourself with the correct response. Pattern. Ottawa, столиця.
Ottawa, столиця Канади.
Ottawa, столиця Канади. Now you do the same. 1. Ottawa, столиця. Ottawa, столиця Канади.
And then they check with the
2. Київ, столиця.
Київ, столиця України.
Київ, столиця України.
And now they check with the correct. Thank you. Yes, you're right. Great. So, and this is how they practice the usage of geographical names in genitive case online when there is no instructor around them, but still they can practice their grammar orally, not only when you write something down. Well, next.
Hi.
Adaptive tasks. Adaptive tasks. Okay. So this is the example of adaptive tasks during in-class sessions. Sir, just change the sentences following the pattern. Я Андрій, мене звати Андрій. So, well, change the sentences according to the pattern. The next one, communicative tasks. With the help of communicative tasks, students practice language and share results in pairs or groups, having discussion in the language. Online sessions, for example. What is your favorite show? Why? Share your answers in forum. React to at least one posting of your classmates using your favorite surprise phrases. And the surprise phrases are here. So this is how they learn українські вигуки. So a little bit of cultural component for them. Yeah, so they love it a lot. So also communicative tasks during in-class sessions. For example, work with your partner. You are opening a restaurant, Veseli Varenik. Create a menu of the vareniki that you are going to offer to your customers and then share your results to the class. So this is the example of the communicative tasks. Productive tasks. In productive tasks, students following an example or a model produce their own similar text, written, oral or visual, expressing and articulating themselves in the target language. And for example, online session. Online session. You are hosting a party, plan the detailed menu. Oksana's menu from the previous slides may guide you. Submit your menu in handwriting, present your menu in class orally in front of others. The example of productive task could be the same, but a little bit extended. For example, work with your partner. You are opening a restaurant Veseli Varenik. Create a menu of the vareniki that you are going to offer to your customer, but you may use the menu from Frala 3 as an example. That entails already productive tasks. But most of the tasks are just mixed, a combination of several tasks. This is clearly not only productive tasks, it's a combination of communicative tasks and productive tasks. And most of the tasks are like this. So, so the outlined activities, I'm finishing just. The outlined activities are incorporated both in in-class and online sessions. However, the blended model allows to reconfigure this distribution, with some activities given more prominence in the class sessions and some in the online sessions. For example, instructional tasks, introduction of new material with colors, are featured predominantly in the online sessions, thus freeing time in class for more communicative activities. Communicative activities are quite difficult to be implemented online, and therefore they are given more prominence in class. This allows students to maximize practice of their speaking and interactional skills in collaborative setting. This reconfiguration of activities leads to the redefinition of both students' and instructors' roles. When instruction is carried out mostly online, the class time is freed to more learner-centered activities, with maximum focus on the development of speaking and interactional skills. As a result, the role of the instructor is transformed from the deliverer of information to the facilitator in the student's in-class learning experience. Thank you very much for your attention. Proszę?
Is this software actually available on a market somewhere, or are these just academic studies in the development of software?
It's not software, it's called Open Education Resource, and it is available online. You have to just Google Podoroji transliteration ua.com, and it brings you to this website, and you can use it for free.
Як ви думаєте, якби цей курс був латинкою перекладений, чи або там українська мова раптом стала писатися латинкою, чи було б більше зацікавлення і чи легше було б вивчати на такому, скажімо, курсі української мови іноземної мови?
I don't know. So you should ask students. Можливо, краще студентів запитати. Ну, звичайно, латинка для студентів, англомовних студентів складна. Верніше, крилиця. Та для них було легше. Але чи це потрібно? Це інше питання. Прошу.
Кілька студентів в даному році користуються тим?
Значить, чому, в принципі, трохи з історії цього проєкту? Чому ми взялись за цей проєкт? Раніше в нашому університеті у нас були непогані enrollments, не знаю, як українською сказати, студентів. Як? 10. Окей. Десь у 2011-2012 році ми опинилися, що на перший курс до нас записалося 10 студентів. Це було minimum enrollment requirement. І це нас трохи занепокоїло, тому ми провели це дослідження, що мотивує студентів вивчати українську мову і курси з українознавства. Після того, як ми розробили ці матеріали, у нас вписи студентів збільшилися. Зараз у нас на 1 вересня до 30 студентів, ну там за перший тиждень може пару студентів випишеться, бо не всім підходить ця модель, ну або якісь інші курси. Брати. Але у нас, в принципі, стабільно на першому курсі, ну, студентів на першому семестрі 22-25 завжди є. Ну, в другому це може бути на кілька студентів менше. Тобто, і те, що ми в кінці кожного року ми проводимо анкетування і питаємо студентів, як їм подобається ця модель. То, як правило, майже 100% студентів відповідає, що вони дуже задоволені, вони багато навчилися за дуже короткий час, і вони хотіли б і надалі використовувати цю модель. Їм подобається, що тут багато дуже технологій, вони використовують, вони роблять свої завдання, онлайн-сешенс, на комп'ютерах вдома, лептопах, мобільних телефонах, на айпедах, на планшетах, вони під час на перерві, коли в автобусі їдуть додому, тобто їм це подобається.
Так, дуже дякую, наш час завершився.